Hey everybody, welcome back. We're diving deep today into those little things that can really make it hard
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
become an advanced English speaker.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, have you ever been studying, and you're like, why am I not getting any better?
You hit a plateau. Yeah.
Totally. And we were looking at some new research, and
Yeah.
it turns out there are some pretty common things that
That trip people
that
up.
trip people up. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not always obvious.
No, they're sneaky.
They are sneaky.
So the first one is something we're calling the textbook trap.
Okay.
So, have you ever
Be
read
there,
somebody?
spend hours with a textbook.
Yes.
Right.
And then you try to use what you learned in a real conversation.
And it just doesn't work.
That doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, textbooks are great for
The foundation?
the foundation, getting the basics down.
Sure, but it's not how people talk.
Yep. Exactly. It's often very formal, very structured, and sometimes
Outdated.
yeah, a little bit outdated. Yeah.
Because it takes so long to
Write a textbook.
write a textbook.
It's to get it published.
Yeah. I remember one time I was like, oh, I learned this great grammar
Tell me about it.
structure.
Yeah.
And I tried to use it, and people were just staring at me.
Like you were from another planet.
I know. So what can we do to avoid this trap?
Well, it's about finding a balance, right?
Yeah.
Textbooks are good for
Oh, it's that foundation.
yeah, getting that foundation, but then you got to practice. You got to get out there and
Use it in real life.
make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes because
That's how we learn.
that's how we all learn. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the second obstacle is
The app attack.
the app attack. So we all love
Our apps.
apps, right?
Yeah, they're convenient.
They're easy.
They're fun. A lot of them are gamified.
Yeah. And you get the points and
The points, the badges.
the little trophies.
The streaks, yeah.
Yeah, but is that...
Is that really helping us?
Yeah, I've noticed it sometimes. I'm just like, oh, I'm going to play my app for a little bit.
Yeah.
But am I really learning?
Are you really getting what you need to become an advanced speaker?
Yeah.
Probably not, right? They're great for beginners. Vocabulary, basic grammar, but once you get to a certain level,
they can only take you so far.
you just can't take you to that next level.
So what do we need? What are we missing?
We need that real world content, like listening to podcasts like this one,
Yes.
reading books, watching movies, having conversations with native speakers. That's where you really pick up
The nuances.
the nuances, the idioms, the humor, the cultural references.
Yep.
Things that
you don't get.
you don't get in a textbook or an app.
Totally. So use your apps wisely,
Yes,
but don't forget the real stuff.
the real deal.
Okay, next up is the...
Translation temptation.
Oh, the translation temptation. I'm so guilty of this.
I think we all are, right?
Especially now that
It's so easy, right?
it's so easy, yeah.
You can translate anything in a second. But
Yeah.
if you're always translating in your head, you're not really thinking in English, are you?
And I've noticed when I do that,
Yeah.
it's really slow.
It slows you down.
It's slow. I can't keep up.
And you miss out on the natural flow of the language.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll translate something and then it just sounds...
Weird. Weird.
It doesn't quite make sense yet.
I remember one time I was trying to tell a joke
Oh, no.
and I translated it from my native language and it was just like,
Crickets.
crickets. Nobody laughed.
Yeah, humor is so
Nuanced.
nuanced and cultural, yeah.
So what can we do to break this habit?
Well, you got to start thinking in English,
But how do you do that?
It starts small,
Yeah.
Instead of translating whole sentences, just focus on,
Like a word or two.
yeah, words and phrases. Think, how would I say this in English? Don't worry if it's not perfect at first.
Yeah.
The more you do it,
The more natural it
the
becomes.
more natural it becomes. Yeah.
So next up is the strategy stumble,
Okay.
which I think a lot of us,
Yeah, we've all been there.
we have all these different ways of learning English, but we're not
Putting it all together.
putting it all together into
Just a coherent plan.
yeah. We're just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, just kind of winging it.
Yeah. So what should we be doing?
Well, first you got to think about,
Your goals.
yeah, your goals. What do you want to achieve? Do
Very
you
good.
want to have fluent conversations? Do you want to
Travel.
travel? Do you
Yeah.
want to
Work.
work in an English-speaking environment?
Read books.
Read books, watch movies. Once you know your goals, then you can start,
To tailor your approach.
yeah, tailor your approach. Figure out, okay, what are my weaknesses?
Yeah.
What do I need to work on?
Am I just passively
Yeah. And
assuming?
consuming. Or are you actively practicing?
Like really interacting with the language.
Exactly.
Because that's a big
It's
difference.
a huge difference.
So think about what you're doing now. Are you just kind of...
Floating along.
Yeah. Or do you have a
plan?
Yeah. Like write it down.
Write it down, yeah.
And speaking of like really upping your game, the next obstacle is the advanced exposure absence.
Right.
So if you're only ever like...
Reading children's books.
Yeah.
Watching cartoons.
Watching cartoons.
You're probably not going to get to that advanced level.
No. You have to challenge yourself.
You got to push yourself.
Right.
It's like imagine you're a weightlifter and you only lift the lightest weights.
You're not going to get stronger.
You're not going to get any stronger, right?
So what kind of things should we be engaging with?
You're engaging with, yeah.
To like really challenge ourselves?
Well, it could be academic journals, you know?
Oh, wow.
Literary works, like classic novels.
In-depth podcasts.
Yes, like this one. Maybe a little more challenging than this one.
Okay.
Documentaries, things that really make you think, you know?
And expose you to?
Yeah, complex vocabulary, grammar structures, and...
Don't be afraid to like try something new.
Exactly. Branch out, explore.
Yeah.
You never know what you might find interesting.
You might discover a new passion.
Exactly.
So even with all of that awesome content, we can still trip up on the next obstacle, which is the engagement erosion.
Oh, yeah.
So we're listening to these great podcasts, we're reading these amazing books.
But are we really paying attention?
Are we just letting it like...
Wash over us?
Yeah, wash over us.
Right.
Or are we like...
Engaging.
Digging
in?
Yeah, getting in there.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in note-taking.
Oh, me too.
Like I always have
a notebook.
A notebook, yeah.
Yeah.
If I hear a new word, I write it down.
Look it up.
I look it up.
Try to use it.
And then I try to use it, yeah.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise...
It just goes in one ear and out the other.
It just disappears.
Yeah.
And our final obstacle for today is the same old, same old.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one.
So we get comfortable.
We get stuck in a rut.
Yeah, we learn...
Basic grammar.
Yeah.
Basic vocabulary.
And then we're just kind of like...
Doing the same thing.
Doing the same thing over and over.
Right.
But we're not progressing.
We're not pushing ourselves.
So it's kind of like we learn to play like...
Chopsticks on the piano.
Yeah.
And we're just playing chopsticks over and over and over again.
But we're not learning how to play like a concerto.
Exactly. You got to move beyond those.
Basics.
Yeah, the basics. Explore new areas of language.
Be more creative.
Be creative. Experiment with different styles.
Yeah. You know, don't be afraid to...
To make mistakes.
Yeah. To like play around with
Zip with the language, yeah.
So that was a lot.
It was a lot. 7 obstacles.
7 sneaky obstacles to becoming an advanced English speaker.
But now that you know what they are,
you can start to...
avoid them.
Yeah.
Overcome them.
So think about like, what's one thing you can do today?
Yeah. What's one small step you can take today?
To like move past.
To move beyond one of these obstacles.
Yeah. Can you start thinking in English more?
Can you pick up a more challenging book?
Could you listen to a more advanced podcast?
Can you find a language partner to practice with?
There are so many possibilities.
So many possibilities.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and we will be back.
With more deep dives soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Happy learning.
Happy learning.
Happy learning.